Okay, what's going on, guys? What's going on? What's going on? Good morning. What you guys see here is going to be the higher time frame of NQ, but I need to go over and update the ES and YM here really quick before we get started. So I'll kind of go over at 25 a quick breakdown of what I believe we're seeing, but I do believe that we're seeing an overbought market and distribution potentially. So let me move these things over here really quick, and then we'll be ready to start. All right. So I know a lot of you guys ask me the same questions of like how I set up in the mornings and like the areas I look for and stuff like that. So over these next few calls over here on YouTube, then you're able to come in and figure that out. All right. So you'll be able to start seeing some of the stuff that we mark up, and then if you have questions on some of those things, then just DM me and we'll go from there. But I can see the chat today. Good morning. Good morning. I can see the chat today, so just if you guys have some stuff or questions, just drop them in there as well. So let me finish marking this up here really quick for these other two, and then we'll be ready to, like I said, kick this thing off. All right. So I get a grasp of the whole market because I want to see everything. I also, like the way I was taught, if you guys look at my watch list here really quick, we have 2 minutes to talk a little bit, is to look at the world markets from a whole, right? And understand like, what gold and silver are doing every morning, what oil is doing every morning. A few of the stocks of the assets that you trade, like I trade NQ and tech, so those are going to be the ones, and then QQQ I really like to look forward to and see too. So okay, so let's go ahead and mark this. This would actually be the previous day high here. Okay, let's mark the opens here. Horizontal array. What's this? So low of day is at 47.5, so we'll look at that in a second. Right now I just want to make sure I have ES locked in for the divergence plays and stuff like that. So Tuesday in London. All right, and when I'm looking at that London, I'm just looking to see what that overnight player looks like and did. All right. Okay. We can keep market open. And then previous day low we've gotten marked. I'm gonna move that, previous day low, previous day high. Let's look at the 4 hours here really quick. And then those dailies. Okay. So we've gotten everything marked. Daily open London, previous day high, previous day low. 50% area is basically the market open. Then we need to move QQQ. All right, and I also want to know where individuals are playing on this, right? So we're going to be seeing what we get at New York Open on this today as well. So okay, so real quick, looking at the overall market to me, when you look at it from the Wyckoff perspective, right, you can see that we've made a low on the week, which is 24,000 whole level, and our current high on the week is the high on day that we have currently, so around, let's just say 25,150. So looking at this, I think we are bullish because we did draw on that higher time frame liquidity. If you look at the weekly, we also respected that demand level, right? Order block, whatever you want to call it, under those old lows, and then responded really well off yesterday's daily, right? So that was a really nice weekly tap. And so coming off of I call it a raid on liquidity on those lows, to rally that fast back up. Essentially, I'm looking at the markets like this. Okay, you're coming from an accumulation area, right, where price was oversold, right, and they drew on that liquidity to where price higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and marked up, right, into, to me, right, when you look at a 4-hour area, it looks more like we're inside of where price distributed before. Now, I did want those highs last week, which was the 25,200 area. But now that we've reached inside this 4-hour supply, this 1-hour supply of 25,100, I want to see today, do we have the juice to continue, or are we going to start seeing some buyers take profit in an overbought area and price distribute back over into the initial balance of the week? And then we reaccumulate at like 24/7s or right below, close to market open inside these inefficiencies on the way up, right? Imbalances, inefficiencies, fair value gaps, whatever you want to call them. They're all the same thing, okay? And so this is kind of what I'm going off of today and looking at. I'm just looking for A to B setups, right? Looking to plot something 1 to 3, 1 to 5, and call it a day. So bias for me as of right now, like I said, is we could see price roll back over, right, because of where we're at based on location, and we also could see continuation of this area. So I'm going to be locked in. And then we will go here. What you guys will see today will be the middle screen, what I look at the most, which will be for NQ will be 15 and 5. So when you're looking at all three of them, they're all three essentially in an overbought area inside of a 4-hour distribution type of area to me to roll over, right? It's just about how they're going to do it. And so the other thing I wanted to look at here, pre-market here by 25, was yesterday we wanted to buy up futures because oil had rallied so fast and then sold off, which was perfect. And then if you were on a call with me the other night, when we talked about what we wanted to see for gold, we wanted to see gold through the 52 level, right? So we were, buying from Friday's daily open area just to get through this area. And now essentially this is a risk-free trade if you have this on CFD to potentially continue higher, right? And make new highs or push into the 4-hour supply. So that's kind of where I'm at with gold at this point. If you guys are in those gold trades or like wrote me about the gold trades. So cool. I'm gonna focus on what I normally focus on, which is like ES and NQ, and obviously YM as well. But I'm gonna be focused kind of like here, looking at them at the open, so you guys can see these opens. Cool. And I guess I can do a recording of this. Alright, now that we're 5 minutes out.
How long will this take? I'm kind of in a rush. Just 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Just 10 minutes. Get out.
Good morning, need higher. Oh, gotcha. Yo. It should work a little bit better now. I wasn't actually like speaking directly into it. My bad. I thought you meant like volume on price. Let's say, I don't know about that one. Okay, so for my NQ traders, what I'm gonna do, like I said, because we're 2 minutes or so out, we're gonna go to the middle screen, and that's where we're gonna keep our focuses on 15.5 today, and we'll switch back over in between here. So for right now, I'm gonna leave it on this monitor just because we can see all three here at the open. And then if I take a position, I'll let you guys know if I'm eyeballing the area or whatever. So. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's because I just wasn't looking at it. Now, looking at this, I would say this. I do like this. I'm gonna be just marking up some liquidity spots. Now, because I'm looking at a 15.5 on another window, I keep this one as my hour so that I can see these other two on lower time frame and then still see my higher time frame here. So let's get it. Nice little push out the gate. So first minute was definitely nice and bullish. I'm not chasing anything or anything like that. So take a look at QQQ. Let's mark that open. And then I'm looking at this just to see how the daily is responding, and then that 4-hour demand area, obviously responding off the H1 24,900. So that's kind of what my bias was, is they may hold this area to continue to go through that liquidity target that I wanted last week and fill the fair value gaps up in here, or they're going to manipulate here at the open. So I'll be patient. Sorry guys if you guys can hear that. It's the trash man. Okay, he's gone. And so I am gonna switch the camera to my middle screen here whenever I get a chance to. Okay. So we can just lock in here. And I kind of toggle between the 1 minute and 15.5 through here in this middle screen until I see something. But right now I'm just kind of being patient. I do like that 5 minute rejection away from supply with the overnight liquidity available, but like I said, I'm gonna be patient because one of the things I want to see possibly is if they do roll over this high, that when they do, shorts will begin to cover somewhere, I think in 24.5 or 700s. And so, be patient here. These could be really good sell side areas away from this, like that, but I'm gonna be patient. Let me know in the comments too if you guys got any trades or if you're in anything, or if y'all are in the sells or anything. Now I'm not taking a trade here, I'm just framing up an area just to have an idea. Okay. So I do kind of like this area. Definitely has potential for 1 to 3 hour back up above 2580s potentially here. Just kind of watching the area though. ES is looking weak, rejecting daily and 68 whole level, so we'll see. I do like this area though, potential here. Now, if you took that area, make sure you have your cut right above those 0.50 levels, and then we'll be shooting for 25 150 if you're going for that. But I'm still just kind of relaxing. Let's see what this 5-minute close looks like. It looks pretty good. I like it. So if you got in off that 5-minute area, like I said, you want to be cutting half of your volume here at 25.060s. But still waiting here for me. Looks pretty clean though to get to that area. And then ES isn't just falling off a cliff, so. Let's see how the 5-minute closes up. And it's okay close, we'll see. Watching that 5, watching that 15. So like I said, just make sure you have that 60 level already marked off. If you're in that area, because I don't know if this is gonna go higher or not, honestly. Yeah, it's still too early, so let me be a little bit patient still. Watch this 15.5. I think it's too early, so I'm gonna wait. We'll continue to watch the area though. And then ES looks pretty weak at the 67.90, so take a look at how that broke down. It broke down nice on 5-minute supply, so. And kind of highlight this area. Now that rollover back to 24.850 would be interesting if they wanted to, but we'll see how they test these opening price areas first. Take a few notes here. Send me that. All right, so price is starting to roll over. Make sure I got this marked. LOD. Now, like I said, this is where price could definitely respond for a continuation, was below opening price. So down in here in the daily. But I'm still not personally liking that. It was a good tap though. That wasn't bad. With that candle right here, 830 to 845 closing higher like that, that shows me signs of strength that they still probably want to pull it higher. From that New York, from that daily open tap, which was pretty good, but like I said, I'm being patient here. But I do like the continuation up here through the target area. ES is holding support at 67.75, so we'll see. Let me look at this. Okay, make sure I'm matching that here. To me, it looks like they want to roll over for the initial balance low of 47.5 on YM, and then on ES, we're still just consolidating here. So I like how they're holding that 25,000 level. Let's just see how this 5 minute, like I said, closes. But it looks relatively strong. 25.050 is a massive level of rejection for us though, so it's where the previous day high was. I like that price right now to hold. It's a good 5-minute price to hold there for 45 to 50. So. Yeah, just still waiting there. Yeah, still hanging up in that same area, so YM looks like it's getting ready to roll over. And we're still kind of rejecting inside, like, essentially this area. The previous day high area, so. I like how they're responding here still in that 25.020s. and they failed to just fall over fast, so we'll see. Okay, so they're still pretty weak. ES looking pretty weak from 6,800, so we'll see. $850 to $855 exhaustion. And I am watching this daily open area because we still look kind of like we want to test and just roll up. So I'm going to be watching this area very tightly here. Now, if they sweep this area and the 24.9 fairly quickly, then I'd look for plays under IB low. But they'd have to break below this New York and daily here. And it looks like YM's getting ready to come for those lows, so let's see what we get here. And ES still holding 775, so. Looks like they want those equal lows. You guys see how those are kind of equal? Okay, so now this is where I want to be locked in because they swept the New York liquidity buyers low, and so I'll be locked in right here. Still with our eyes possibly here on IB low, but so the transition going into 9 will be interesting. They did deliver a new low on day on YM, so overnight buyers have been got. So let's see what we get here. I kind of like the NQZ, but I'm gonna watch how this 5-minute closes. Yeah, we anticipated the 4 hour to be overbought, which I kind of went over in the beginning of the stream, and for them to sell off. Just based on location and buyers from yesterday. Massive day. Alright, we locked in on this 5 minute close though, because like I said, we're still inside this point of interest, and they're failing to go lower immediately. So let's see what they present. Really watching ES here at the 67.75 level as well. And we're coming for that initial balance low on ES, so that's pretty good that they're bearish. So now what I would say is the sells down were pretty good, I'd say, up in here, off that 25.050 level. But for me personally, what I'm going to wait for is probably the IB low to be swept and see if there's a reaccumulation under 24,800. Otherwise, I'm going to stay patient here on this, because they haven't broke this actual low yet, and they've held pretty good demand at 24,900, but we could feel the inefficiency. So like how we're responding though. I like that response off that 5 minute area and 15, right? So we'll see what they do here. ES hasn't taken the lows yet. Still waiting on this 5 minute, let's see. QQQ kind of looks bearish, back down to 603s as well, so that's definitely a sign that we probably could roll over here. I would only want that position up in there. So I like that 15.5 response. That's why I said I didn't want to be short, because sales usually just jump out the window. So good 5-minute close. I mean, that's a really good response off the 15.5 area. So that might be the area. It's just pretty high up there, but I would say based on how we've been ranging on higher time frame, it definitely can make its way. Oh yeah. Take a look at these. Then ES failing to break lower, so we'll see. YM is responding, so it's probably profit taking over there, which is, we're still in range over here, which is interesting. Just want to kind of frame the 15.5 area here. Still would have needed small time frames for it. Alright, let's see how they respond here at point of interest. Because it is like a small 15-minute supply candle as well, so. ES still holding 67.75, so I just want them to break out of this area. Like, I want them to come lower than the high below. If they're gonna do it. Now they still could hold the demand here, 24 950s, but check out ES. ES trying. Let's see here. ES is looking weak here at 67.75, so to reach for this 67.50s would be interesting here, that half level. Okay, so we're rolling over. This is good. Now, like I said, if we can roll over into the initial balance low, right, taking out the overnight buyers, then somewhere in between 24.8 and 24.7, there could be a possible reaccumulation. So right when we slip this low here, I'll be looking for something like maybe like that, like picks up and goes. We'll see. If not, then we got to be focused on higher time frame H1 demand. So like 24.7s, 24.620s. So let's be patient here. Continue to watch this area though, because we haven't fell yet. Yes, it still failed to take that IB low, but it looks like it wants to push it, so. And then we're still about 50 handles off on NQ, so. Did y'all take any trades, any gold, anything else? Alright, I'm kind of watching this area here, since we're failing to push lower than 24.9s. It might have already popped. This 24.9 is acting pretty strong, I will say that, so just gonna be patient here and watch. We'll see if this 5-minute close is strong. If not, then it'll probably just roll over to 24.850s and then we'll wait for that IBL. Pretty strong here going into the 9:15 close, so let's see here what we get on the 5-minute candle closure. Now, this 5 minute candle can close with strength right here at 900s. There's a potential that, I may want to try to identify the right side to go higher, but higher time frame just favors that IBL. So it's a good 5 minute close. So let's see here. Those 15-minute wick lows look dangerous, though. Alright, this is like a pocket of liquidity right now. Alright, double bottom. We'll see though, because this could be building support in 24 900s, but I just feel like the rollover is inevitable. They did just kind of pierce those lows, if you guys can see that. Like, they kind of came in there. Well, they made it equal those, so let's see what they do here. I don't know why it's not showing up on both. Take a look at gold. Gold's still moving higher. QQQ looks more like a rollover. And then our 4-hour and H1 look more like overbought zones. So for them to buy it up here would be interesting. I mean, I'd really want that IB low to be taken first. But there was a slight draw on liquidity, right? 24,892.50, and then that's exactly the low right now. So these are equal lows. I'm not gonna buy into that for sure. It doesn't look bad though, to be honest. Just too many stop losses, I feel like, right here at these lows, but that's holding up inside the H1 area, 24.9. We've failed to ever break that level, so I mean, this could be a really strong level here going into the end of the day, because it's just holding inside this stack candle, right? And we still have IB lows, and you don't have ES taking that low, so this could be actually the area as well. I just don't like how they engineered it, but they did create that level of support right here, which is pretty nice. Let me take a screenshot of this really quick. ES responding at 67.75, so just gonna be patient here. If it wasn't for the equal lows, I like this. Like I like the sign of strength. They had a 1 minute mitigation, and so there would have been an area to play the right side, but it's just I don't like how high up they are on the range either. The ES is responding very well in the same spot, and then YM took the buyers, hit that liquidity spot of I below, and you're seeing buyers just step in. So me personally, I wouldn't take something like this, but I do like something like in this area to like at least go from like the 5 minute dump to go higher, but I'd like it to come down lower. So that area does look pretty good when you look at how they tried to attempt those lows. Now we're right at point of interest, so that's going to be the key too. Is like it's a very tight area. Could just reject and fall fairly quickly, but if you have any buys below 930s though, right, 24,000 930s, I think you're definitely good. Especially if this 5 minute candle here extends above the point of interest and back to 25,000. But be careful here at point of interest. Yeah, anything below 950s, if you bought that, I think that's a really good area to get maybe back up to here if it goes fast. Like it can't take forever. As long as you're inside this area here, like below, like that, anything above that purple box, I would say is going to be susceptible to risk. And then if you're targeting, let's say you have like the 950s, or if you're in somewhere in here, I would be targeting the high on day. If you're gonna take, if you're gonna take it up anywhere, but these equal lows just don't favor the push, right? They favor more liquidity to downside here, so just gotta be careful. Depends on where you got in. Like I said, if you got in anywhere above 960s, you're susceptible to risk. If you got anything below 960s, essentially you're probably could be break even. I do like the 15.5 though, how it played. It's just how they made the lows exactly equal that makes it difficult, I think. So ES is holding the area. YM is exploding off the 47.520s back up to point of interest. So that's almost a 200 point move back up after the draw on liquidity, which is perfect though. So we get a push through those 040s. I had a small position that I'm going to go ahead and cut down. Or I already have it set to cut. So then if we can reach above this 5-minute high, 25.080s, that you guys can see where that purple box is, then I would say most of you guys that did buy those lows would be in a pretty good position. I didn't like them as much, like I said, but it did hold stack candle, and then whole level. So that is interesting to see here. So I like it. I like how that 5-minute pressed, and I like how when they drew on liquidity, they gave you an order block dump candle. They gave you a sign of strength, and then they gave you a pretty good R&R with a 5-minute dump. Okay, and so even if you played it a little late, I played the 935s, right? Like on this wick right here, essentially. So 940s, excuse me. Even if you're a little late on this, you should be break even, and then trying to get, let's say, essentially you played right here. Okay. Your 1 to 3 should be fairly close. It was a little lower. It was London open. Should be already at 1 to 3 shaved off, and then you're shooting for the 1 to 5R. Okay, so you're just shooting for a break of this high here, essentially the 25.060s. Really what you want to see is just that 5-minute break of structure, and you should be pretty good on your trade if these are going to rally. Okay. So I would keep them very tight though with those double bottoms right there. I'm just gonna take a screenshot really quick. So yeah, anything below the points of interest, I would be break even just to be safe. And then YM is back to POI, so that's a good sign here. But these double bottoms are dangerous. They could easily flip price very quickly, like I said, and take off. So we'll see how this 5-minute candle closes though. If it can reach into the supply more, so into this area here, 25.040s. And I do want to show, let's see how it's going to play. I do want to show the higher time frames really quick. Oops. Wrong one, sorry. Okay, so we should be able to see that higher time frame. So now what we're seeing here, right, is going to be, it's holding that demand support, but it's in a high area. That's why I don't like it as much. And then these are still holding, so maybe they're about to manipulate at point of interest and then roll. So we just have to be very careful. But if we still get the push going at 10, then I would say there's a potential that this could still rally up, right? But because they're being so weak here, they would need to show me some more strength on a 15 and 5 that we were looking at. Like I'd want to see it continue up and show strength up to 0.50s fairly quickly into that supply. Otherwise, it could just roll back over to the double bottom. So we can keep our eyes on that while I'm watching this. Nice. So those 5-minute areas are pushing pretty nice. Let's see what we get here. Okay. So we are starting to push up. So if you took any buys, even late buys, right, like right at daily open, you should still be at a 1 to 3R. Okay. So like even if you took a position like right in here, I know some people messaged me just on the side just now, you should be at a 1 to 3R. Either I would manually not be doing it, but you should already have it preset, and then that way you're able to get out of the trade. Okay. And so not my best entry, but not my worst at the same time. But we'll focus on what we could do better too, if this can play out through the 5-minute highs, because that's like my essential target here. And then let's say you're already 1 to 3, then you're looking for like a 1 to 5R. So just slipping above those highs would be really good. But if you're nervous or if you've lost one trade, I would say go ahead and be break even on at least one. Or at least, yeah, if you've lost one or if you're nervous, just go break even if you have a pretty good position. Because we would need to see some like real thrust to push through this area. And we're right inside of a supply area, right? So we'd want to see it kind of reach above if they're going to go. If they don't, then they're going to reject this area and just slide back down to those double bottoms. So if you're in anywhere below 25,000, I would say your risk should be right here. Like you should keep it right under that New York open on the 1 minute. Okay? Because that's gonna, if it goes back below New York, essentially that means it's probably gonna test again, and you don't want to be a part of that. But if we do go for high of day, I mean that looks like a really good potential if it does. Just don't like the equalos, like I said. ES is looking really good still, so I want to bring that over here really quick. Alright, ES holding those same levels that we talked about. Right, so it's failed to ever break below these areas and just hold up, right? And then same thing with NQ, so that's what we're focused on here. Like I said, even this would be a late trade today. You'd be at a 1 to 3. If you took it, like I was saying down in here, you're definitely at a 1 to 3, and you're probably already securing close to like a 1 to 5, getting above those highs. So it just depends on where you took the entry. You said I got a message. You said 990. So yeah, even if you took New York open, you're still looking at a 1 to 3 right here. Okay. And I think they are going to rise from here. So we'll go over, like I said, here in a second, the 5-minute, 1-minute area, like down in here, how it could have been a little better. But I wanted to see a better draw on liquidity as well. So can't always get it how you want, right? All right, so that's a 1 to 3 for sure. R on those, even if you took the late area, buying below New York open. And so, like I said, I would be looking at prices like high of day, the initial balance high, so like somewhere in here. And then we also have a really nice target if you guys are looking to the upside here at 25,200. But getting right above these highs again would be pretty great. I mean, there's not much you really need after that, I would say, but it's up to the person. 24, 25,200. Sorry, I put. All right, but I do like this. Okay, And so for me, I'm going to be break even on the remainder that I have of this one. But like I said, that's just because we ended up getting what we want to deliver, and I waited a little long on getting the position. But this is basically what I have left. Took that New York Open, like order block area here, and then just extended up. 1 to 3 was secured, and then I just have the runner for the runner would be securing about another 4R, right? So 1.5R was secured, and then another 4R because half of 8 would be delivering here. So that's still like a really, really good day. Okay. Even with not the greatest, I would say, entry. And then just so you guys have an idea, like I said, this was just the area, and then like I said, before we end the stream, what I'll do is I'll go over this 5-minute area, 1-minute area that we could have capitalized a little bit better on. But I still like the flow. I like the flow back up to the upside. I'd like the ES right now off that same level, and then YM obviously taking off after the liquidity grab was perfect. So what you're essentially seeing is people shorted overnight, short start to cover, rally, right? So let's see if they have the juice to take the highs today. And then I do like as like a longer term target, like if you're trading CFD, I like these highs because look how equal they are, right? 25 125s, and then I like if you go higher here, I like that target that we're talking about still, same area, it's just a different price level, right, of this level. So move this here. I didn't even mark this one up, sad. Okay, and so that would be a really good swing area, but just getting to the high of day, right, on those swing trades would be good too. So but either way, we've locked off something, right? That's the main goal on the way up here. I like it right now. What a manipulation move too that they did inside the demand. So that was pretty interesting to see. But structure never broke, so gold looks good. QQQ did turn up, right? And hold. So 606s was like a V-shaped recovery, so that's a good sign too. Okay. Are you guys on any trades? Did you guys take anything on the way up? Did you guys take anything lower? I know somebody probably took that lower. I almost needed too much confirmation. Take a look here at the higher time frame. All right, we're seeing that area do really well. Okay, so we are starting to push that area. Like I said, getting up to, this is your 1 to 3, 1 to 5 would be here. So you could be done, right? Like if you've hit this area and you took a trade somewhere in that daily open or below, or even 25,000, essentially, you're sitting at a 1 to 5 R of what you're willing to risk. You're probably good on the trade for the day. And then I would say, let me make sure I mark this. And then I would say if you're looking for a really nice exit, a 1 to 8, so half of 8 from this position here would be 4, and you've already secured the 1.5 on the way up. Okay, so that's a pretty good position if it can reach for that area. And if you want to trail the market on a position like this, because you're at a 1 to 5 currently, you could go ahead and trail out the 1 to 3 area, or like that, excuse me, that 1 to 2 area, and then that way you're still securing more on the back, like another, because you've got 1.5 secured, then you'd be securing another 1, right? So that'd be about 2.5 close to. I like to get around 3R and better on winners. Okay, so we do need to remember that this area earlier did act as a level of supply, right? So we just want to have that understanding that they did sell this area off previously. And so there should be seller short stop losses sitting above this area and at the high of day. And so I'm not looking for very much more than high of day. If price does continue to rally, we're looking for the imbalance fills in the 25-300s. If you have swing trades like 25-400s, I'll go over the Nasdaq price afterwards. But just want to make sure that we look at this here. That's a pretty good one, 1 to 2. Okay. Right, and if you've lost one, I would say move it to 1 to 3, because you should have already secured half of your trade on that way up. And if you want to secure more from a position like this, go ahead and secure the 1 to 3, because you have half volume on, and half of 3 is 1.5, and you've already secured 1.5, right? So 1.5 and 1.5 would be 3, right? And if you're managing to produce at least a 3R plus on the day, then you have a good chance to remain profitable. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put in a little alert on that, because I think we are going to get that area to push through. And then yeah, so we'll see. And then the total on this trade, like I said, to get to the top, to get to the TP, is a 1 to 8 risk reward, right? Minus the half, so 1 to 4 on the remainder. So we'll continue to watch this, and then we'll see what we get. We'll take a look at the other markets here really quick. YM took that liquidity and turned up. That was perfect for what we're seeing here too. Banger. So for me on this one, since I hesitated in the very beginning and didn't take that first one, this is my only trade, so I'm going to remain break even to target, okay? And so, like I said, if you wanted to, you could secure some more of it. But for me, I just believe that they're going to continue to make this rally up, and I've already secured some on the way up. So regardless, to me, it's a win. Let me make sure this is exactly at that 8R area. That's cool. On the remainder, so either we get it, or like I said, they could fail, right? Noobs buy tops and sell bottoms, and they could fail the top of the area very easily. So we'll continue to watch and see what we get. But we get that area. We'll probably be done with the actual YouTube stream for the day, because I think that's pretty good. Like I said, I'll break down that 5 and 1 minute area on NQ if we do get that delivery through the highs. But yeah, just depends. Let's see what we get. We're currently, our 1 to 5 is there. And then our 1 to 4 is here. So you're securing 2 plus 1.5. So essentially, if you're worried about this trade, you could be looking at that 1 to 4 area, because you've already got 1.5 secured, and half of 4 is 2, plus your 1.5 would make you at 3.5. So you could go ahead and secure that area on the day with your remaining volume if you want to. It's up to the person though. So take a look at the higher time frames. Look really good here. QQQs make new highs. All right. We look pretty solid here. So I'm giving you guys like live trade management, right? Like even if wherever you took if you guys tell me your price of where you got in, I can always mark it up as well, um, and give you an idea potentially of what we're seeing from where you're at. But basically, if you're taking the relatively same trades as I am, or same areas, then essentially we're pretty good on this trade here. Okay. This is the area that I talked about. Okay. So if you want to, go ahead and secure your 1 to 4. So that'd be your 2 plus your 1.5, which gives you a 3.5 R on the day. Okay? It's up to you though. I'm not financial advice, but it's just an area to protect. Okay? Especially if we start to break down in these higher time frame areas. Let me take a look at ES and see how we're looking. We look like we can, but everyone knows that we can make that move. So that's what you, like I said, that's in a position where you want to start maybe scaling out or scaling up your risk, just to secure more of our multiple for the day. It's up to you. my boy just messaged me and said, I'm done for the day. I get it. This 5-minute close should tell us a lot if they're gonna, extend higher here and get to the target. Just so many noobs buy tops and sell bottoms that I know that they can easily come back, fill the imbalance, right, for value gap, whatever you want to call it, and then go up. So that's the other issue, is if you're wanting that 1 to 4, right, partial, then you just got to realize like they could just fill that area and then go. And so it's you either can protect your 1 to 2, or you can stay break even, whichever you choose to do. But you should have secured the bag on the way up no matter what. Really watching this 5-minute price and how it closes here. Here very quickly. Okay, now if that 1 minute, I'll show this. If the 1 minute goes and closes above 25.1, I would say like this, like it's doing right now with 1 minute. I would say now you could probably go ahead and secure your 4 to 1, because we're relatively getting closer to target, if that makes sense, right? So it's up to you, but like I said, when we're starting to show signs of strength like that, like a candle closing above a whole level, right, on the 1 minute, that's usually a pretty good sign to trail the risk, or that we have signs that we're gonna peak higher here, right? And so there's a potential. That doesn't mean that they're going to. Okay. So the low on that 1 minute area, essentially, like if you go look at it like this, is the 1 to 5 zone. Okay. So now, if you're using like the bottom of this, you're essentially getting out of there with 2.5 R regardless of what happens here. Does that make sense? So now it's if you entered from the 990s, okay? Like this entry was from the 990s. If you were to trail that to 85s right now, you essentially would be securing 2.5 R, even from the New York Open area. Okay. And with price 5 minute, higher open, higher close, higher open, higher close, and then we're closing above a whole level, and we're closing right above an old high, right, like this. That's a good sign of strength to me to get to the target. But secure the bag though, just in case. Trump tweet, anything could happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and secure like my entry. Let me go ahead and show where my entry is too. My entry is the 90 level. So they've got this off by like 1. Okay. And so it looks like this. 1 to 5. So my 1 to 5 area is right under 90. Why does it have 91? Excuse me, let me do this again. My entry is 90. Okay, they got it right. They got it right this time. So securing that area is not bad. Basically the 85s, guys. So essentially, so you guys can kind of see how mine looks. So this is how mine looks. Like we may get the target, we may not. But because we've made that new sign of strength on the 1 minute, and I know that that's my 1 to 5 R area, right? And make sure that's 1 to 5, right? That's my 1 to 5 area from my entry. I'm securing 2.5 R, still looking for the 5 R to deliver, if that makes sense. Okay. So we'll see if we get that delivery through the area here. But it looks pretty good, so. Where will it go if it was to pull back to push higher? It would go back to expansions on the way higher. So inefficiencies in price would be, and I'll go back to the markup window. It would go back to areas like this, potentially, right? You have these expansions on the way up. These are fair value gaps, essentially, or imbalances, whatever you want to call them. And so price could easily reach back for where traders basically emotionally bought too late. Like this was still a pretty good trade where I bought, was below New York Open in bullish conditions. But like if you bought like as it was in the 5 minute supply, most people's risk, if they bought the breakout trade right in here, most people's risk is going to be under this low. So instead of their trade looking like how we have it, they bought right here and their risk is inside the imbalance at this point, if that makes sense. And so we really focus on supply demand point of interest for our entry strategies so that we can manage position a lot easier and not have to think so hard. See if we can get this push on through. Now between now and 10:15, this should have done the dance. And then I think that on a higher time frame perspective of NQ, if you're looking at just NQ, right? I think, you know, looking at the 4 hour, it looks like we could reach. So let's look at this. This is our daily. I feel like we could reach above this high, which would be putting us above that 4 hour area here and into the 25,250s. And then when you're looking left, right, like if this does extend like it's looking like it's going to, this imbalance and inefficiency will be a great area. So 25,300 will be a great area to see buyers from way down here start to exit up in this supply area. And that's what we're anticipating here right now with what we're getting. Okay, I was like, which one? But we've been able to get an entry, get a partial, and trail risk, which, I mean, any day that we can do that, that's great. And if we can get this alert for the final TP, then that's even better. Okay, so we're just looking at that, and then Okay. So looks pretty good. We'll continue to watch here, see if we, like I said, we can deliver through that high of day. No 5-minute signs of weakness right now. You've got higher open, higher close, higher open, higher close. So unless the 5-minute structure was to break, then essentially it's still really strong. And then, like I said, if you're in this trade, I would anticipate that you have at least your 1 to 3 taken, and that you are risk off on the trade. So when you guys see this, essentially means that we're risk off and in profit and just looking to deliver to target. Nice little session today here on YouTube. Ended up finding a 1 to 3. Was able to partial out, get that 1.5, and then we shot for a higher time frame target for 2.5R. Alright, not a bad day here in the lab. So we're just being patient at this point. We have everything secured that we want. So ES is on its way too. So we'll kind of go over the 5-minute, 1-minute area here before I hop off, and then I'll also do a comparison very quickly of ES and YM, and kind of explain, that draw on liquidity and why we wanted to see this continue higher. Bang. Bang, 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 bang. Alright. Seems like trading views a little late. Let's see if trading views taking a little later. Oh, I have my alert set for the high. That's why, but we did just deliver the liquidity, so let's see if we get through the push on through, and then we'll look at the higher time frames here. I kind of want to just kind of show the 1 hour so we can have a perspective of where we potentially could go. Now they'll play as they get closer to the top, but just because of where my actual TP was set, was for the 1 to 8, because I wanted to secure that bag, just in case we didn't clear the liquidity. But it's more than likely at this point. Bang. Okay, cool. So you guys should have delivered your take profit on those areas on the high on day, And you know, like I said, looking at the higher time frame, hope that's not too loud in your ears. Looking at the higher time frame, we could deliver up through 25 200s. Who knows? But what the market has given us at this point was a beautiful setup. And then I would say if you had half of your volume on from even around that area, you're looking at, like I said, a 4R plus your 1.5. Right, so really good day. Now on the swing trades, I did say I'd go over the swing trades. If you have any buys from the previous day and you just, you know, you're holding, a lot of us like to trail our risk to the current low of the day and then we closed higher. So maybe you're sitting with a lot of risk at IB low. I would go over to or we'll just do it here. I would go into the 4 hour and have an understanding of, you know, how much farther we can go to that high that was created, that was manipulation FU right there. And so from that high to the current low, right, we still have quite a bit to reach into the 78.6 to 88.6. So 25,300 level, right? This is the futures price. I'll show it on the indices price. 25,300 would be the target area on a trade like that. Because I think that, you know, if you get to that area from, especially if you've been holding from daily, like the lows, then you're up a bag. And then when it comes to the NAS 100, it's going to be, let's see here. Oh, okay, it's going to be the same price. Wow, that's pretty cool. So 25, that's not usually normal, okay? 25,300 is going to be your same target area. Essentially, you're looking for the open, right, of that manipulation FU candle. So 25,300 coming over, I think would be a good area for the longs on these positions to exit on those swings. So appreciate you guys watching. Let me know if you guys you know, see anything that could change, or the volume or the voice inflection, whatever. Definitely, you know, drop a like, you know, tell someone to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And we'll be back again most likely tomorrow or the next day. But our goal is to go about 3 days a week here on YouTube, live trading. So appreciate you guys watching. Have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you a little bit later. And then Javante, if you're still in here, we can hop on, bro, and go over the 1 minute price, because I'll probably do a trade review going over this area. But I need something to eat really quick. I'll go actually really quick because I'm not going to probably do an actual trade review today. I'll go ahead and go over the quick 5 minute, 1 minute areas that we look for on NQ. Now, these are still pretty good trades, right? Because you're still stacking really, really nice. You had the push up, the pull back into the New York Open, which this is still a really safe entry that has edge. Now, where I would say personally I would have liked to take this is when the 5 minute candle here dumps. But what I like about these type of candles, right, that makes them institutional to me, is when they actually dump and take out the trader, right? So essentially kind of like YM, right? You had the lows on day taken with this candle, right? And then you have your down candle sign of strength, and it's easy to buy up that side, I believe, to get back up to point of interest. Okay, and so that's essentially what I wanted to see, was a little bit more deeper of a pull on this candle, but it still gave a reference, gave a sign of strength. And then now what you want to do when you're looking at these 1 minute 5 minute positions, right? Because I'm also watching 5 and 1 minute. I'm just showing you guys 15 and 5 because it's easier to read as a collective. But once you've got that 5 minute sign of strength, what you want to know is, are you on that right side? Can you identify a 1 minute mitigation? And I definitely could, right? So you got to wait for the sign of strength, wait for the demand candle to set, order block candle, now it's all fractal, so you have to wait for the 1 minute signs as well. 1 minute sign of strength. By that second candle, as long as you can frame up something like this, right, which you definitely could frame up a 1 to 3 out of this area back up to point of interest, that was probably the setup to get the maximize to where we're at now. Okay, but the safer area for me, and just area that made more sense for me, that price was definitely showing strength, was that when we closed out of the area 920 to 925, and then 925 to 930, and then it just, the 5 minute candle seemed as if they wanted to take the New York high. Okay, And so that's kind of what I was seeing there. And then when it comes to ES and NQ, relatively the same thing, right? If you go study the price on 5 minutes here, it's going to be the same thing. Now, I think it was a better play because remember what we talked about on NQ, right? NQ did not deliver lower. Now the bodies did close lower. So if you went to a line graph, it actually did close lower. So your body actually did close lower low, and that's where me personally, is still a draw on liquidity. But this one, when you look at the ES, right? Because this was like a demand zone that we were looking at from a higher time frame, which was like the hour. It was holding those areas, right? When this candle dumps, 905 to 910, right? The ICT macro, right? You get the sign of strength. Now, on that sign of strength, let's go check a 1 minute time frame here. And let's draw the line, right? Because I'm showing you guys the sauce here, okay? Draw the line down the 5 minute candle, the sign of strength. And then on that right side, right? Are you able to identify a 1 minute mitigation? Yes. And when I take ES trades, the way I'm going to take them, when I'm taking them on the right side of the order block, I want to frame them inside the entry special candle, but also I'm only looking to risk about 5 points. So if I'm looking to risk 5 points, right, it'd be something like this. And then getting that trade essentially like this, risking 5 points, and then a 1 to 3 is going to be 15 handles and profit. So that's already your 1 to 3. So you shave at the at the 1 minute structure break. You already have that preset, and then you're looking for that 1 to 5 to complete, which is back to point of interest, and then getting back above the 5 minute high, right, would have been a really, really good trade as well. Still about, let's just round that up to 1 to 7. So you would have partialed half of your move at this point, and you would have been looking at 3.5 R on the remainder, and then getting to the high on day, which did deliver, which is a very typical target. You would have been looking at, because you only had half the volume on, if you would have paid yourself on the way up, you would have been looking at a 1 to 12. So you would have had a 1.5 secured, and then you would have had 1 to 12, so half of that is 6. So 6 plus 1.5, right? So about 7.5 R on the day, taking the trade at the same time we took the NQ trade, right? And that's where I think the stream is going to get very powerful, and people are going to have a lot of understanding, is that when I take those NQ trades, they're going to be able to also take ES trades around the same time, okay? So we went over the smaller time frame of that, the ES comparison, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. So I appreciate you guys watching, and then I'll be looking forward to seeing you guys on the next one.